Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. You are checking out my brand new Magicka Warden PvP build. I'm calling this build Avalanche because we've got a combination of frost damage and some pretty wicked earthquake procs, which you're going to see up here in a second. So this build absolutely annihilates groups when they're bunched together like this. You guys gotta spread out. You're gonna take some punishment here. But we'll go over everything coming up next. Stats, some different set options, different skills you can try out, as well as some champion points, all coming up. Check it out. Alright everybody, let's jump into the stats first, and as always, your mileage may vary. You may want to try out different sets, different combinations, and that's totally fine. This is just what works for me and what I'm having a blast with right now in game. So, with buffs here, let's see. Max Magicka is almost 33k, about 20k health. That'll bump up to about 24 in PvP. Almost 13k stamina, close to 2k Magicka recovery, and then spell damage is a little low, 2100, but that will get buffed up with a back bar Berserker enchant, and then our spell critical is buffed by one of our abilities, so that'll be 32%. And then our resistances were actually in heavy armor on this build, so not too bad. Coming in at 26k spell, 22k physical, and about 2k crit resistance. So we put all the points into Magicka here. We are in Argonian, which is really great for sustain. It gives you some more options in terms of what potions you want to use. So I would recommend that. Since we are focused on ice damage, though, the High Elf race would be an awesome choice here. Also, Witch Mother's Potent Brew, just for that extra bit of Magicka recovery. I am a stage 4 vampire, but that's not necessary. You could definitely take that off if you don't want that. Atronach for the extra magic recovery. And I did mention the potions are pretty flexible because we are Argonian and we get all the buffs that we need as a Magicka Warden. So what I chose here, and it's given me some extra benefits to the build, is Essence of Speed. And this is actually movement speed with health per second, so about 1000 health every second. And I just chose that because the speed was definitely lacking on a heavy armor build, Magicka Warden, and then just the heal over time was a little bit low, so I just wanted to boost those two aspects of the build. So this particular potion is perfect. You can obviously use tripods. That's another really great option to help with your sustain, because as an Argonian you get the extra bonus resources when you use the potion, so your resources back with tripods, so it's going to be huge on the build. So what sets are we going to check out? Well, there's a lot of different options for this build and this playstyle in general. What I did start with, though, is a heavy armor approach. So I just wanted to be very tanky. I wanted the extra health. I wanted the extra healing. So 5 pieces heavy armor seemed to be the best bet for this kind of playstyle that I was going for. So I started with 5 pieces of Torug's Pact on the body. Again, all heavy armor. And you can see the bonuses here actually are pretty nice for a Magicka Warden. You've got the spell damage, you've got the health, you've got extra spell resistance, and then for the 5 piece, we get a huge buff to our weapon enchantments. Okay, so really nice as far as this build is going to do a lot of damage with a ice staff, getting those light attacks in, and then also combining that with a frost damage enchantment on the ice staff. So for like a regular frost enchant, you might get like about 4k, but with our Torug's and then also running an infused staff, we're getting over 6k frost damage on that enchantment. So that is huge. That's basically every light attack, because the Torug's Pact is going to also reduce your cooldown to about a second, a little bit over a second. So almost every light attack, you will definitely get that 6k damage to proc, along with the just the light attack damage. So Torug's Pact here just going for huge light attack damage. and then again running that in heavy armor. My other set here, which you probably saw, is going to be spinners. So with spinners, the idea here is, again, running heavy armor. We don't have the extra spell pen that you get in light armor, so your damage is going to be a little bit reduced. But spinners is really going to help to equal that out, because the Magicka bonuses here are nice. Spell damage is nice. And you get the extra 3.3k spell penetration, so that really helps to get more damage. It's probably the most damaging set you can get on the Magicka Warden. So we are doing this with the Frost Staff on the front bar, infused, again for that extra enchant damage and reduced cooldown time. And then we're doing 3 pieces of jewelry, so spinner's neck and 2 rings. So that's going to make up our other 5-piece spinners. And then finally our monsters set here, I went with something just completely different that I thought would be really fun, and it turned out it was. It's going to be Celestrix, and I actually like the 1-piece bonus here, about 1k stamina. I'm not using Tri-Stat food, I'm using Witch Mothers, so the extra stamina here actually really helps, and I'm actually running a medium armor helm to get even more stamina. So I'm getting about 2k stamina just from this 1 piece, which is great. And then the 2-piece, which you saw in the intro, is what's proccing that earthquake, that basically stun effect during combat. So basically it's a 3-second stun. It can happen every 5.5 seconds, and it has a 10% chance to proc off of any damage. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance. So the fact that we have a lot of AoE damage over time means this is going to proc basically on cooldown. Every 5 seconds or so, you'll get that big stun to proc, in addition to all the other damage that you're doing, damage over time, AoE, burst, and your light attack damage. So this fits in really good with the theme of the build, not only, but it's fun. It's so fun just to like knock down a whole group while you've got them already kind of immobilized, snared down with your ice abilities. So I love this. A couple other options here. You could definitely do Valken Scoria if you're not really into the earthquake part of the build. Valken, it's going to be great on a Magicka Warden, again, because that procs off of damage over time. So that's really great in a 1v1 situation. Playing solo, you'll get a lot of damage out of Valken Scoria. Other things here, I said spinner is probably going to be the most damage. You could also do Necropotence. You'll get a lot more Magicka on the build. You can push 35 to 40k Magicka using Necropotence for sure. So that would be another nice option on the light set. And you can also use Winterborn. That's a specific set that increases your cold damage. I don't have that as a complete set yet, but that's something that I would consider for the other 5-piece. As far as traits, I have a mix right now, not ideal, but definitely run as much impen as you can, because you are heavy armor, you're in the middle of combat, you're taking a lot of damage. So maximizing your impen is going to be good. I did use a reinforced heavy chest just to get extra armor mitigation there. And then for our jewelry, I went with 2 Magicka recovery, 1 spell damage. If you feel like your sustain is good, you can plug in some extra spell damage here, and that would be fine. It'll give you more damage overall. And I did go with all arcane because the Magicka pool here is a little bit low on the build, but you could definitely swap in like a bloodthirsty or a swift trait or even an infused trait if you feel like doing that. And then for our weapons, just Resto Staff, you know, with the Berserker enchant. And then this is the key though, infused Ice Staff. Again, infused is going to give you that extra damage on your Frost enchant. Alright, let's check out the skills next. And if you're not familiar with Magicka Warden, there's different types of playstyles, I think. So for this, we're focusing more on a containment and damage over time kind of playstyle. So let me just go through it. So Blockade of Frost is going to be one of your main AoEs. Just an area of effect. You get a nice big area on this, and enemies are snared in your wall of frost. The other nice thing is when you are hitting them with your light attack, with your frost enchant, you'll actually immobilize them while they're in that area. So that's just a good containment skill. You have a lot of AoEs on this build, so one of the reasons why it's really effective is you're containing them either with the snare or with the immobilize, so that they're always taking pressure from you. They're always taking AoE damage. And it's kind of subtle, like doesn't seem like a lot at first, but after like 10-15 seconds, they'll be almost, you know, 0 health and they won't know what happened to them. So it's a pretty interesting play style for sure. Going along with that, we've got Deep Fissure. So this is kind of our burst. It has a 3-second timer. So you just want to make sure that's rolling all the time. And you kind of weave that in between your Wall of Frost. You do have to aim it though, so just make sure you're focusing on your target when that goes off. Again, 3-second timer, so you can weave in some light attacks as well, get those weapon enchants to proc, and then boom, hit them with a big Deep Fissure at the end there. We've got Leeching Vines next, and this is just a really solid heal. You see about 2k health each time you take damage, so it can happen every 1 second. The reason why I like this morph is it also applies Minor Lifesteal, which is basically a debuff on your target, and when you hit them with something like a light attack, you get an extra almost 700 health back every time. So it's closer to about a 2500 heal combined from both effects, and it just triggers off of your light attack. So you should be doing this anyway. It's kind of the point of a Torag's Pact build, is you're doing lots of light attacks. So every time we're doing that, we're getting healed. Every time we take damage, we're also getting healed. So it's a really solid heal over time effect. A little bit of a short duration, 10 seconds, which is why I put it on the front bar. You could definitely back bar it too as well if you want. So Elemental Drain is just a really nice skill to have on a light attack focused build, because you're going to get that major breach on them, making them take more damage from your light attacks, right? But you're also getting the nice 300 Magicka recovery. Actually, 300 Magicka every 1 second. It's more like 600 mag recovery every time you're hitting them with your light attack. So again, we're focusing on those light attacks in between putting down our AoEs and our burst. So we'll actually be getting sustain back from these light attacks too. So it is a really nice skill to combine with your light attack. And then last but not least, we've got Winter's Revenge, which is the other Frost AoE that's specific to the Magicka Warden. So it's a little bit costly, but it is nice that it has a 12-second duration. Does really good damage, also snares within the area. So you'll see in my clips that I generally will do both. You can do one Winter's Revenge and then just lay over your Wall of Frost on top of it. That's a ton of AoE damage. You're snaring, you're immobilizing within the field. And it's just awesome. It just eats people's health up, especially combined with spinners. They're going to be taking more damage. And then I used Northern Storm here for the ultimate. And I did use this because of the 8% max Magicka bonus, which is really nice. The other morph Permafrost does have a stun after 3 seconds. But since we're using Celestrix, we don't need the stun at all. So we can benefit from the extra max Magicka pool that this gives us. It's also giving us major protection for 8 seconds as well, so really good just for finishing off a group or pushing into a group, making them take tons of damage. So I will get that going and then, you know, jump in, put down my Winter's Revenge, Wall of Frost, have my shock ready to go, and then just start smashing them. So that's the front bar. Then checking out the back bar very quickly. Mostly defensive skills here. So we got Shimmering Shield, and this is your defense against ranged classes, specifically like Magsorks, if they're casting frags at you, if you're fighting like a Nightblade, Mag Nightblade, or Stamina Nightblade shooting off lethal arrows. This is really effective. Almost a 30k shield, and then that nice major heroism buff. So it is a little bit expensive, so I just basically reserve this for when I see those lethal arrows coming, I'll pop it. If I see a Sork, you know, lining up some frags and stuff on me, I'll pop it, make sure it's ready, and then you just don't have to think about it. So it's a nice extra layer of defense. Next is Lotus Blossom, and this is really nice actually on the build. We get the Major Prophecy, which is that 10% spell critical, so that's nice. That lasts for the entire duration of the buff. And then this goes along with the light attack focus of the build. Every time you light attack, you get 1.5k health. And a heavy attack, you get almost 5k health back. So remember we had our, what is this called? Leeching Vines on the front, that's healing us on light attacks. And our Lotus Blossom is also, so we're getting tons of health back. Every light attack, you're just getting massive heals rolling in. And it's something that you're doing anyways. You should be light attacking anyways to just push up your damage, push out your DPS. And so those two abilities along with our potion, we get that 1k health every second from the potion, means we don't really need a burst heal at all on the build. I'm able to sustain fine. I'm able to survive longer than anybody else. And, you know, being heavy armor too helps, so it's all working together. Works out really nicely. We've got Bird of Prey on the back bar. This is some extra movement speed when our potion is down, and also the nice Minor Berserk proc. Right now you do have to cast the ability, which is a little bit annoying, so, you know, I don't usually have it up in my typical buff rotation. I'm going to save it for when I'm pushing into a big group. I'll cast my Bird of Prey. And then just go into it so I get that nice 8% damage boost. I have heard with the Murkmire patch that this is going to be made into a passive. The Minor Berserk buff will be passive. So if that happens, what I would recommend is just putting it on the front bar instead of Leeching Vines. That way you have the Minor Berserk all the time. You don't have to worry about casting it. And it'll be okay to have 2 heals on the back bar. That's no problem. And then last up, we just got our 2 buffs, pretty standard for Mag Warden. You got Blue Betty, you get the Magicka Recovery, spell damage buff, really nice. And then Ice Fortress, this is your Major Resolve, Major Ward, and then Minor Protection. So make sure you have these up all the time if you can, along with Lotus Blossom. They all have about a 20-second timer, so that's my 3 buffs that I keep up in rotation. Just always make sure those are up. And for the ultimate here, I just wanted a little bit of a heal for me and my group, just in emergency situations. So the heal is not great. It's been nerfed a couple times, but it will be enough to keep you and your group alive for a couple extra seconds just to help you reset the fight. So it's a good healing ultimate. You could also do the restoration ultimate here. Lights Champion would be another good option. But I like how cheap this is. Still 90 ultimate means you'll be able to get those off really quick. So let's go ahead and check out some champion points here really quick. I do play this in no CP, specifically Battlegrounds, and it's tuned really good for that, but I think this would work if you were trying it out in a CP campaign. So 28 Warlord, 25 Sprinter, and then we've got 49 Tenacity. We do a bit of heavy attacks, especially with the Resto Staff for sustain. 64 Arcanist, 43 into Mooncalf, 28 Shadow Ward, 23 Tumbling, got 43 Blessed, 26 into Elfborn, 29 Spell Erosion, 49 Elemental Expert, Staff Expert for those extra light attacks, very nice, 29 there, 44 Master at Arms. We've got 40 into Thaumaturge, that's going to cover our AoE dots, our ground effects. 56 into Ironclad, 30 into Resistant, 49 into Hardy and Elemental, 37 into Thick-Skinned, 16 into Expert Defender, and then 23 Quick Recovery. Alright everybody, that's going to wrap it up for the new Magicka Warden PvP build Avalanche. Hope you enjoyed it and learned a thing or two. This has been really like a fun build to play. I've only played this for about a week or so, and as soon as I threw the sets together, I just knew it was strong. So try it out. It's been a blast to play. I'm going to keep playing it for a little while, and then I think I'm moving on to maybe a new Stamina Nightblade build next. If you have any ideas for new videos, new builds you want to see, go ahead and drop those down in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Why the heck not? It's free for you and it helps me out. So until then, I'll see you guys around in the next video. Peace.